Welcome to this story, because what you are about to hear may change how you see English forever. Most people fail at learning English, not because they are stupid, but because they follow the wrong path. They spend years studying English, memorizing rules and words, yet they still cannot speak confidently. This failure is frustrating, confusing, and painful, especially after investing so much time and effort. Many learners believe they are bad at languages, but that belief is usually completely wrong. The real problem is not intelligence, talent, or age. The real problem is mindset and method. From the beginning, most people are taught to fear mistakes instead of using them as learning tools. Fear slowly grows, and that fear stops people from speaking, practicing, and improving naturally. They wait to feel ready, confident, and perfect, but that moment never truly comes. While waiting, they stay silent, and silence slowly kills progress and motivation. Most learners focus on grammar rules, but they avoid real communication at all costs. They know many rules in their heads, but they cannot use them in real conversations. This creates a painful gap between knowledge and ability, and that gap grows wider over time. Because of this gap, learners feel embarrassed, insecure, and afraid of being judged. That fear pushes them back into comfort, where learning feels safe but ineffective. Watching videos and reading books feels productive, but without speaking, progress remains limited. Many people confuse studying English with using English, and this confusion is very dangerous. Language is not built by understanding alone. It is built by repetition and real usage. Most learners avoid discomfort, but discomfort is where real learning actually happens. Instead of practicing daily, they practice only when motivation appears, which is very rare. Motivation is temporary, unreliable, and disappears when learning becomes difficult. Without discipline, learning becomes inconsistent, slow, and eventually stops completely. Another big reason people fail is constant comparison with fluent speakers online. They see perfect accents and fast speech, and they feel small and incapable. This comparison destroys confidence, and confidence is essential for speaking freely. Many learners also expect fast results, and they quit when progress feels slow. They do not understand that language learning is a long process, not a quick achievement. Because expectations are unrealistic, frustration appears early and kills consistency. Most people fail because they focus on results instead of focusing on habits and systems. They want fluency, but they avoid daily effort, repetition, and patience. Over time, disappointment replaces excitement, and learning feels like a burden. When learning feels heavy, people escape, delay, and eventually quit silently. The truth is simple. Most people fail because they learn English the wrong way. They follow safe methods, avoid mistakes, and wait for confidence to appear magically. But confidence never comes before action. Confidence is created by action. Until this truth is understood, progress will always be slow and painful. This is why most people fail, not because English is hard, but because fear controls their process. Most people fail because they believe learning English should feel easy and comfortable all the time. When learning becomes difficult, uncomfortable, or confusing, they immediately think something is wrong, instead of accepting struggle as a natural part of learning. They see it as a sign of failure. This misunderstanding creates frustration, and frustration slowly destroys motivation and confidence. Learning a language is uncomfortable by nature because your brain is doing something new. Most people try to avoid this discomfort, but avoiding discomfort means avoiding progress. They choose passive learning methods because passive learning feels safe and painless. Watching videos without speaking feels productive, but it does not train real communication skills. Reading grammar explanations feels intelligent, but it does not prepare you for real conversations. Real progress requires active effort, repetition, and the courage to sound imperfect. Most learners do not practice speaking enough because speaking exposes their weaknesses. Exposing weaknesses feels uncomfortable, so they hide behind silence and preparation. Preparation without action creates illusion, but illusion never creates real ability. Many people believe they need more vocabulary before speaking, but speaking builds vocabulary faster. They wait until they feel ready, but readiness only comes after many imperfect attempts. This waiting phase can last years, and during that time progress becomes extremely slow. Another reason people fail is because they rely too much on motivation to study English. Motivation feels powerful at first, but it disappears when learning becomes repetitive. Without discipline, learning stops whenever emotions change or energy feels low. Successful learners do not rely on motivation. They rely on habits and routines. Most people study randomly without structure, consistency, or clear daily practice. Random effort produces random results, and random results destroy confidence quickly. When results are unclear, people start doubting themselves instead of their method. Self-doubt grows silently and slowly convinces them that English is not for them. Many learners also set unrealistic goals, expecting fluency in a very short time. When reality does not match expectations, disappointment appears and kills persistence. Language learning is slow at first, and progress is often invisible for a long time. Most people quit during this invisible phase, right before improvement becomes noticeable. They do not understand that fluency is built quietly, through daily repetition. Another common mistake is comparing personal progress to native speakers or influencers. This comparison creates pressure, fear, and unrealistic standards that block natural speech. People forget that fluent speakers were once beginners who made many mistakes. Mistakes are not a sign of failure. They are proof that learning is happening. Most learners are taught to avoid mistakes instead of learning how to use them. Fear of mistakes creates silence, and silence is the biggest enemy of fluency. When people stop speaking, their confidence slowly disappears completely. Without confidence, even simple sentences feel difficult to say out loud. This creates a vicious cycle of fear, silence, and slow progress. Breaking this cycle requires courage, consistency, and a change in mindset. Most people never change their mindset, so they repeat the same mistakes every year. They blame age, memory, or talent instead of fixing their learning approach. The truth is clear. Most people fail because they learn English the wrong way. Until they change how they think, practice, and face discomfort, progress will remain limited. Learning English is not about being smart. It is about being consistent and brave. Those who succeed accept discomfort, speak early, and practice daily without fear. Those who fail wait for comfort, perfection, and confidence that never arrives. This difference in approach explains why most people never become fluent. Most people fail at learning English because they focus on information instead of real transformation. They collect rules and explanations, but they never change how they actually use the language. Knowing about English feels safe and comfortable, but using English feels risky and uncomfortable. Because of this discomfort, many learners choose safety over progress every single time. They stay busy watching lessons, but they avoid situations where mistakes can happen. Avoiding mistakes feels smart in the short term, but it destroys learning in the long term. Real learning requires exposure, repetition, and the courage to sound wrong many times. Most people are never taught this truth, so they follow methods that feel good but fail. They believe understanding English is the same as speaking English, but this is false. Understanding is passive, while speaking is active and requires mental effort. Without active practice, the brain never learns how to produce language naturally. This is why many learners understand movies, but freeze during simple conversations. Their brain recognizes words, but cannot organize them under pressure. Pressure appears because speaking is rare, and rare actions always feel stressful. If speaking happened daily, pressure would disappear naturally over time. Most people do not speak daily because they wait for confidence first. Confidence never comes first. Confidence is built only after repeated action. This misunderstanding keeps learners trapped for years without visible progress. Another reason people fail is because they try to learn everything at once. They jump between apps, books, videos, and courses without clear direction. This scattered approach confuses the brain and prevents deep learning. Deep learning requires focus, repetition, and limited material used consistently. Successful learners repeat simple material many times instead of chasing complexity. Most people believe advanced content means fast progress, but simplicity works better. Simple sentences practiced daily build fluency faster than complex grammar rules. People fail because they underestimate the power of simple daily practice. They want big results, but they refuse small daily efforts. Learning English rewards patience, but punishes impatience very quickly. Many learners quit early because progress is invisible at the beginning. They do not realize that language skills grow silently before becoming visible. Quitting early stops progress right before improvement starts to appear. Another common mistake is learning English only when motivation feels strong. Motivation is emotional, unstable, and disappears when learning feels boring. Without routine, learning becomes irregular and easily forgotten. Routine creates discipline, and discipline creates long-term improvement. Most people never build routines, so learning depends on mood. Mood-based learning always fails in the long run. People also fail because they are afraid of sounding stupid. This fear is emotional, but it feels very real and powerful. Fear of judgment stops speaking, and silence stops improvement completely. Most people think others are judging them, but most people do not care. This false belief creates anxiety that exists only in the learner's mind. When learners realize this truth, fear loses much of its power. Another reason people fail is because they never measure progress correctly. They measure fluency instead of measuring consistency and courage. Fluency takes time, but consistency can be built immediately. When consistency improves, fluency follows naturally without pressure. Most people give up because they expect fast results without daily effort. Language learning is not difficult, but it requires long-term commitment. Those who fail are not weak. They are simply following ineffective methods. Those who succeed accept discomfort, simplify practice, and stay consistent. The difference is not intelligence, the difference is daily behavior. Until behavior changes, results will always stay the same. This is why most people fail at learning English again and again. Most people continue failing because they never change the way they practice English daily. They repeat the same habits every year and then wonder why nothing ever improves. Doing the same thing again and again while expecting different results creates frustration. Frustration slowly kills confidence, and confidence is essential for speaking freely. Most learners do not track their effort. They only notice their lack of results. Focusing only on results creates pressure, and pressure blocks natural language production. Language flows best when the mind feels calm, relaxed, and focused on communication. Most people create stress while learning, instead of creating safe practice environments. They judge themselves harshly for every mistake, instead of learning from them calmly. Harsh self-judgment creates fear, and fear blocks learning more than any mistake. People forget that children learn languages without fear, judgment, or perfection. Children speak badly at first, but they speak often, and speaking builds fluency. Adults try to be correct before speaking, and this destroys progress completely. Waiting to be correct keeps learners silent, and silence prevents real improvement. Most people never train their ears enough, even though listening builds speaking ability. Listening daily to simple English trains the brain to recognize natural patterns. Without listening practice, speaking feels forced and unnatural under pressure. Many learners listen passively, without attention or repetition. Passive listening helps understanding, but active listening builds real language skills. Active listening requires focus, repetition, and patience over long periods of time. Most people want fast results, but language learning rewards slow consistency. Impatience makes learners change methods too often, preventing deep learning. Jumping between methods creates confusion, not clarity or confidence. Successful learners choose one simple method and repeat it consistently. Repetition feels boring at first, but boredom is part of mastery. Most people quit when learning feels boring, but boredom appears before fluency. They misunderstand boredom as failure instead of recognizing it as progress. Another reason people fail is because they practice only when they feel confident. Confidence grows after practice, not before practice. This misunderstanding keeps learners stuck in preparation mode forever. Many learners also avoid real conversations because real conversations feel unpredictable. Unpredictability creates fear, and fear pushes learners back into safe exercises. Safe exercises feel productive, but they do not prepare learners for real life. Real-life English is messy, fast, and imperfect, just like real communication. Avoiding real English keeps learners unprepared and insecure. Most people also fail because they never build a daily English routine. Without routine, learning depends on mood, energy, and motivation. Mood-based learning always breaks during stress or busy periods. Routine protects progress, even when life becomes difficult or chaotic. Successful learners practice even on bad days, even for a few minutes. Few minutes daily beat long sessions done once a week. Most people underestimate small effort, but small effort compounds over time. Compounding effort creates results that suddenly feel surprising. People call it talent, but it is simply consistent daily work. Another mistake is trying to sound like native speakers too early. This unrealistic goal creates pressure, shame, and constant self-criticism. Sounding natural matters more than sounding native. Clear communication matters more than perfect pronunciation. Most people forget that accents are normal, natural, and acceptable. Fear of accent blocks speech, and blocked speech blocks fluency. Accepting your accent frees your voice and reduces anxiety immediately. Another reason people fail is because they never enjoy the learning process. Learning feels heavy, serious, and stressful instead of curious and playful. Enjoyment increases consistency, and consistency creates progress. Without enjoyment, learning becomes a burden that people avoid. Those who succeed find ways to make learning simple, human, and enjoyable. Those who fail treat learning like punishment instead of exploration. Language learning is not about pressure, it is about connection and expression. When learners understand this truth, progress becomes possible again. Until then, most people repeat the same mistakes every single year. This is why most people fail at learning English despite good intentions. Most people fail at learning English because they never truly change how they think about learning. They search for better methods, better teachers, and better tools, but they keep the same mindset. Without changing mindset, every new method produces the same disappointing results. Learning English requires accepting discomfort, and most people spend their lives avoiding discomfort. Avoiding discomfort feels safe, but safety keeps learners stuck in the same place forever. Progress begins the moment a learner accepts sounding wrong, slow, and imperfect. Speaking badly is not failure, but silence is the real failure in language learning. Most people fail because they wait to feel confident instead of speaking to build confidence. Confidence is not a requirement for action. Confidence is the result of repeated action. Those who succeed speak early, speak often, and accept mistakes without emotional pain. Those who fail protect their ego, avoid embarrassment, and delay real practice endlessly. Protecting ego feels good short-term, but destroys long-term improvement completely. Learning English is not about intelligence, memory, or talent, but about daily courage. Courage means speaking even when the voice shakes and continuing despite discomfort. Most people underestimate courage and overestimate grammar rules and vocabulary lists. Grammar supports language, but communication builds language in real situations. Real situations are messy, unpredictable, and imperfect, and that is where learning happens. Avoiding real situations keeps learners trapped in artificial learning environments. Artificial environments feel controlled, but they never prepare learners for real conversations. Most people also fail because they treat English as a school subject, not a life skill. Language lives through use, interaction, and repetition, not through memorization alone. When learners start using English daily, even in small ways, progress becomes possible. Small daily actions build fluency faster than rare long study sessions. Consistency beats intensity, especially in long-term language learning journeys. Most people give up because results are slow, but slow results are normal and expected. Fluency grows quietly, and confidence appears suddenly after enough repetition. People quit just before this moment because patience runs out too early. Those who succeed stay when progress feels invisible, boring, and uncomfortable. They trust the process, even when emotions tell them to stop. Trusting the process separates successful learners from frustrated quitters. Another reason people fail is blaming external factors instead of adjusting behavior. They blame age, time, accent, or memory instead of fixing daily habits. Habits shape results, and without changing habits, results never change. Successful learners build simple routines and follow them without drama. They do not rely on motivation because motivation disappears quickly. Routine carries them forward, even on tired, busy, or difficult days. Learning becomes automatic because routine removes the need for decision-making. Once routine exists, progress becomes steady and predictable. Most people never reach this stage because they quit too early. Fear, impatience, and unrealistic expectations stop them before fluency begins. The truth is simple. Anyone can learn English with the right mindset and habits. Failure is not permanent. It is only the result of wrong methods and fear. The moment fear is faced and daily action begins, failure loses its power. Learning English becomes possible, manageable, and even enjoyable. This is why most people fail, and this is also how anyone can succeed.